what did you, as a president of the union, what did you make of the instance? Did you think that students had been discriminated against?
I wasn't due to vote there. I voted early on in the day at a different polling station. I got called down when some students said there's a really bizarre two-line system going on here, so obviously I went down around 9 o'clock as we got there, and people have been queuing there since 7:30 basically. Now the rationale that I understand behind it, and the rationale that's given both at the time and since, has been that a lot of students lived in one area, a lot of non-students lived in another area. Therefore, in terms of lists, and because it's all hard copies with paper, it makes more sense to have a queue where people live in one area rather than the other. As it happened though, one of the areas was 40% students, 60% residents, so that actually didn't have much bearing on reality at all. And when it actually manifested itself, the people in the polling station did say students in this line, residents in this line. And not only does that draw divisions between student community and local resident community, obviously it has massive implications in terms of the demographics of the vote, in that people who arrived after students but were able to get into a shorter queue were more likely to be able to vote ahead of those later people. So there's a massive affront to democracy, immediately. It had its logic, but it was a massive mistake. And I feel for the guy who made the decision, because it was clearly in under his head. He was trying to kind of deal with it more as a council issue than an individual issue, because he was clearly out of his depth really on this one, I think.
Yeah, and was it a simple case of the fact that they didn't have the resources to deal with the influx of students and residents alike?
It was exactly that. We tried to tell them that they need to have a polling station either in the residences or have more of them. We didn't tell them about the success of the Vote for Students campaign. That would have been beneficial to kind of keep that loop, but because there hadn't been close links with the council in the past, there was no reason to think about it. And also this has been so unprecedented that the council will never suspected this was going to be an issue. The fact that there's going to be 5,000 people in that constituency rather than 2,500 in most of the others, you would think that would lead people to be a bit more prepared and also respond more quickly during the day, because we know that there was queues during the day, 7 o'clock even, there were massive queues of 150, 200 people, and yet still there wasn't the resources or the number of people coming in to deal with it as an emergency. What actually they thought was people were voting earlier and they'll be much quieter later. So obviously that was disproven, but we need to make sure that in the future they have more polling booths, more staff, and to be honest, more polling stations around the city as well.